tires, they really need some heat in them before they grip too well. The first couple laps could be exciting. Let's see.
Let's see what happens. Here they go, turn one.
So far, so good.
Ryan Newman leads. Terry Labonte second. Jamie McMurray third. Greg Biffle fourth. Michael Waltrip fifth. Almost feels like people are just tiptoeing around.
Yeah, it looks
you know?
like they're parking over there in the corner. But it is. It takes a few laps to get the temperature in these tires in this place. Being flat, there's no banking to help you hold in the corner. So you do have to be very careful.
And what about Terry Labonte? Changed so many things on that 5-car overnight after the contact with the wall yesterday. That's probably one reason he's lost a couple of spots since the beginning of the race.
But you know, you've got to have a lot of confidence in your race team and your race car to get in at first lap after it's been crashed and repaired and just go sailing off into turn one on the outside like that.
Well, your crew chief tells you about 100 times that morning. It'll be okay.
Yes.
Believe me, it'll be fine.
Well, Terry trying to come back on Greg Biffle. He tried to poke the nose under him off two. Settle back in line in fourth. Just behind. Well, here he goes again. And here's that side-by-side that we saw so much in July. Marty, you got something on Terry already for us?
Well, I was just going to follow up on them fixing the car. They were allowed to stay 2 hours after the garage area closed last night. Then NASCAR allowed them to come in 1 hour this morning. They were here at 6 a.m. and Mike Bumgardner, the car chief, told me it's so close to how it was in the shop, Terry should not notice a difference in the repairs they made on the car.
Well, it doesn't look like he is because he cruised by Greg Biffle in the 16 car.
Michael Waltrip also through. Got a little bump on the back door there from Junior on his teammate.
See Jimmy Johnson, the 48, going by Biffle. Also Jeff Gordon. And when I walked through the garage here this morning and talked to guys, they said the 48 car is really, really fast.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 8, working on his teammate Michael Waltrip in the 15. This is for 4th and 5th positions.
Those guys were pretty confident down there this morning.
Oh,
they really liked their chances today. That 8 car they felt was really, really hooked up yesterday.
And they are just in a spot where if they're going to do anything with Matt Kenseth for the championship, they've got to start to make something happen. They've got to knock off a win or two here. Junior's won once this season. That was at Talladega back in April. And he's just been kind of hot and cold last month and a half. Finished 25th at Darlington, 32nd in Michigan, 17th at Richmond. They need to make something happen. Kurt Busch in the 97 started 28th. That's where he runs right now, though Ricky Rudd is working way around the outside of him.
That's another car that those guys were really happy with the car yesterday after final practice. Felt that Ricky was going to make his way up through the pack.
On the other hand, Kurt Busch, I talked to his crew chief Jimmy Fennig this morning, and I said, how's your race car? He said, we need to help it.
And they changed everything there is to change on the car, trying to get some help for Kurt Busch in that 97 car.
Hey, you see 5 miles an hour slower on the last lap, 4.5 than leader Ryan Newman. That's not going to help you.
These cars now have run 7 laps, so the tires are as hot as they need them to be to get some grip. So if they have a good race car and could go down on the bottom and try to pass cars, now is the time to do it.
Exactly. Now they know what kind of race car they have and where it's handling and where it can run.
Ryan Newman, Jamie McMurray, Terry Labonte, Michael Waltrip, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon. That's that lead group. And you see things have struck out single file among most of the top 20. Joe Nemechek there is in 18th position in the 25 car. Hey, I want you to pay attention to who's leading this race at lap 50. You can win a trip to New York City to work as a special correspondent at this December's Winston Cup Award ceremony. It's the NASCAR Big Apple Sweepstakes. Remember who's leading at lap 50.
41 car sure slid up there, didn't he?
He slid up, and it didn't take Ward Burton at 22 long to drive under him and take the spot away.
That was 16th place. Ryan Newman out in front by 0.8 of a second over Jamie McMurray, Dave.
And Alan, at the start, you talked about the guy outside of him, Terry Labonte, being tentative on the start. Well, how often do you hear clear when at the start-finish line? That's when Ryan heard it because Terry had backed off. So far, it's been good. A little bit tight off the corners. Matt?
After that great run at the Brickyard, Jimmy McMurray was so confident coming into New Hampshire, another flat track. Same car he finished third with at Bristol. He told me this morning they feel like their biggest hindrance this year has been qualifying. Knocked down his second best ever start, starting third today. He says the car is a little loose on entry and tied off. Basically the same problem they had through much of happy hour. They do have some built-in adjustments, but he said he really feels like the strategy today will be more like a road course. When you get to that final window, that's when they're going to pit.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot of crew chiefs rolling the dice on their pit strategy today. Who's going to be the hero on pit road and make the winning call? We're about 289 laps away from finding out.
Outside. Still outside. Outside. Clear. Still there. Clear, clear.
that's going to be a good race car later on in the run when you're out of fuel or you're low on fuel and tires.
Jeff Burton moving forward. Terry Labonte slipping back a little bit. That was 7th place. Jimmy Johnson had just gone by Terry, and now Jeff Burton slips by him and picks up that number 7 spot. Marty, how about Terry's car?
Yeah, you guys kind of pinpointed the problem for the 5 car up there from the booth. A little bit tight off of the corner. They're going to go up on the track bar on the next time. Jim Long asked Terry, how is the car, though? He said it's fine other than that. So really no implications from the wreck that they had yesterday. Car just a little bit tight right now for Terry.
All right, Marty, thanks. So Terry Labonte still kind of struggling, but considering he hadn't run a lap after the crash, hanging in there in 8th position so far. Ryan Newman has led all 25 laps that have been completed so far, out in front of Jamie McMurray by 1.2 seconds here in New Hampshire.
Lap 30 flat. About 3 back. We're all around. Good job, driver. Be smooth, hit your marks, drive away. Leader 95. There. Clear high. Clear high. from behind, whatever you need. You see that 74 up there. You still got him inside. You'll be clear, all clear. Oh, back inside, inside. Clear low if you need it, clear low if you need it. There by nose, still there. Clear, clear.
High-speed internet for only $19.99 a month.
All clear. Clear about 4 back. Great job right there, buddy. Great job. Clear high.
Up to 7th. Jamie McMurray, Matt Kenseth up to 9th, and now Bill Elliott runs in 10th.
I talked to Tony Urey down in the 8 pits this morning, the crew chief, and he said they set this car up a lot like
Make an adjustment, won't change tires, won't be too much.
their NASCAR Busch Series car they had so much success with, and they said they're going to try it here in Loudon, and so far, so good.
Let's get you some updates on the top 10 in the running order right now. Matty?
We're starting out with Dale Earnhardt Jr. looking for his first top 5 finish here in New Hampshire. The car tight, really tight, but the car is fast. Dave?
Ryan Newman's car tight as well, Matt. In fact, he said, I can't use the throttle to help turn the car because the car is tight right before I can get on the throttle. Bill?
Michael Waltrip battling a tight condition, wants to take air out of both of his front tires to try and improve the handling condition. Jeff Gordon, as we talked about just a few laps ago, loose up, off, and tight in the middle of the turns, hoping to be able to adjust that on their first pit stop. As for Jimmy Johnson, the car loose in, tight in the center off. First he thought it was getting better. Now he says it's getting worse, Matt.
Jeff Burton's last win came 66 races ago at Phoenix. Said earlier on that the car was loose into the middle, but it's getting tighter, especially on throttle. Bill?
Not much from Kevin Harvick so far, running 7th currently on the racetrack. No problems with his car to this point, Matt.
And Jimmy McMurray still battling that loose in, tight off scenario with the 42 car. They're still looking at those same changes when they make their first stop, Marty.
Matt Kenseth may have the best car on the track, Matt. He started 19th, currently up in the 9th position. The car pretty good, just a little bit tight, Matt.
The Dodge boys had Bill Elliott at the 9th, and since dropped back to 10th. Ray Evernham came on the radio and told Bill the car looks very, very solid from the middle up off the corner. Bill says the car's not too bad.
All right, Matty, thanks. And there's your leader at lap 50. You will need to know Dale Earnhardt Jr. to win a trip, possibly to this year's Winston Cup Award ceremony and serve as a special correspondent. Log on to NASCAR.com. Check out the NASCAR Big Apple Sweepstakes for rules and your chance to register every week. Dale Earnhardt Jr., today's leader at lap 50. So we gave you the top 10 in our Through the Field. And Earnhardt Jr. now putting 37th place. Joyce is left for a lap down. Ken Schrader and Tony Raines also overtaken by the leader, Johnny Sauter, next up in that 4 car. We took you through the top 10. Let's continue going through the field. How about 11th place Terry Labonte? Marty, you got that one.
And he started second, Alan. He's back to the 11th position. We reported early on that his car was tight. It's actually gotten a little bit better now. He's picking up a little bit of speed, still planning a track bar adjustment when they come down pit road. Greg Biffle's car was extremely tight to start with. It's gotten a little bit better now. They are going to put a rubber in the right rear when he makes a stop. Dave?
Sterling Marlin has fallen back from his 9th place starting position. His report, tight on exit with a follow. This is not working at all. Matt?
And Jeremy Mayfield running in the 19 car in the 14th position. Earlier he said the car was a little tight, but not bad. He says now the car is really bad tight off, Dave.
The 88 car of Dale Jarrett, not a word. Remember when he comes in for his first pit stop, Jackman Johnny Bryan is back for the first time since being injured at Indianapolis. 22 of Ward Burton, their crew did a lot of work after happy hour yesterday, and Ward radioed in, it's a lot better, just a little bit tight. Matt?
Nemechek runs the 25 car in the 17th position. Remember, he's won here before. Would love to add another one to his racing resume. Says the car was great on the get-go, Bill, but has since gone tight from the middle off.
Elliott Sadler currently running 18th on the racetrack. His car just not quite up to his liking, trying to battle a slight handling problem that they'll adjust when he comes in, Dave.
All weekend, Mike Skinner's car was loose getting in the corner, better by the end of happy hour, but they might have tightened it just a bit too much. That's his report now. Tight. Marty?
Dave Casey Mears having a nice little run back in the 20th position. The only thing he said on the radio was back at lap 17. He said the car's a little bit tight, pretty smooth on the racetrack for this rookie. Alan?
There are your top 20. Dale Earnhardt Jr. still out in front. Ryan Newman led the first 45 laps. Then Jr. went out in front. He's about to complete his 10th circuit in the #1 spot. Caution free so far. All 43 starters still on the speedway. Five laps have been completed. Junior works lap 56 at New Hampshire International Speedway.
Track corner, clear, clear. clear.
We're just a little bit tight, Robbie, but let's not play with the chassis too much. And Wally, when you have a really good car, you're kind of afraid to mess with it, but you also have to keep up with the racetrack, don't you? Doesn't the racetrack change as the race goes along?
Absolutely, but that's the biggest thing. It's human nature. You don't want to mess with the race car. You hope they put the same set of tires on the car, or a set of tires that is just as good. So, yeah, you'll tend to make smaller changes right now if your race car is good. Even though the track will change, you don't want to dial yourself out.
Talked about Matt Kenseth's troubles the last couple of weeks. Here is a weekend ago at Richmond. Matt gets up into the wall off turn 4 and then gets bumped from behind by Todd Bodine. He spins out. You see the damage on the right side of his Ford, but they come down pit road, make adjustments. A little pit strategy call later in the race gets him back up to the front of the pack and gets his track position back, and he comes up finishing 7th and gains points on the rest of his rivals for the championship.
Did you see who he almost hit when he spun there? The 42 car, Jamie McMurray.
Yeah. I talked with Matt on Friday a pretty good bit about the massive 418-point lead he holds in the championship and about what that does for him at this point in the season. He's not really under pressure. And he said what having that kind of a lead allows us to do is not fret over mistakes. If we make the wrong call on pit road, or, as he said, for example, last week at Richmond when I drove into the wall, you didn't have to get all balled up in your stomach about it. You could just say, okay, don't worry about it, we'll keep going.
Oh, there's no question. It's nice to have a cushion because, man, you're under a lot of stress here if you're going for a championship like that. And you're right, Alan. I mean, every little mistake, there's a big magnifying glass over. So they've got that cushion, and boy, it's nice having that cushion.
Talked on Discover Card Countdown to Green about the post-race incident at Richmond last week, and we show you the 31 car because it's time for our Singular Wireless Race Talk poll. I want you to put yourself in the driver's seat. You're the guy running second in the final couple of laps, and you get bumped and spun. Was Kevin Harvick's reaction to Ricky Rudd justified? Wasn't strong enough? Too much over the top? Cast a vote. I'd be curious to get your opinion. I know what Wally would have done. I think Benny would have handled it differently.
Yeah, I was just thinking, we would have probably handled it differently, BP. I think it was justified, and I think you may have thought he was over the top.
Well, he's way over the top because, again, I talked to all those guys down there, and Ricky Rudd, yes, he spun him, but there was no intent. There was no intent. And, folks, we're in this sport today, we're going to have people bumping each other. This 21 car may bump the 1 car trying to get by him. It's certainly not intentional. So we got to tell them, don't race, don't bump each other.
You're such a nice guy.
Did you ever go after somebody after the race?
No.
Never in your career?
Never. I only raced 25 years, so if I'd have raced another 25 years, I might have.
I think it depends on who you're racing, too. I mean, obviously, you race a guy like 21 Ricky Rudd. He doesn't race that way.
No.
He doesn't drive that way. So normally, if he gets in the back of you, you think, well, Ricky made a mistake. But there are other guys out there that you may think, well, he probably did that intentional.
And that's one reason that I said that he did not do it intentional, because it was, in fact, Ricky Rudd.
Ricky Rudd in 24th place right now, trying to come up toward the front. Talked to his crew chief, Pat Tryson, and Ricky this morning. Felt like they had a very good race car. Just needed to find a way to get some track position. Meantime, Kevin Harvick started 13th, and he's moved up pretty well. He's in 7th place now. Third place driver in the NASCAR Winston Cup Championship. He's on probation for the rest of the year. Does that mean something to somebody like Kevin?
I think it will, because he has been at home during one of these races before. So I believe that before he does anything, maybe he'll think twice about it, because he could be sitting home.
Well, that's right. He could, because he certainly can't have a situation like he had last week at Richmond, because he will not race in the next race. He will have to sit home. Bill, what's your opinion?
I'm with you there, BP, on that. You got it. You know, they asked him yesterday in the media center what probation means. He just kind of shrugged his shoulders, and then later on, we were talking to Jeff Gordon about it. He goes, you got to mind, you got to pay attention to what you're doing. Right now, he just has a great race car. I talked to his crew chief, Todd Barrier, but Todd didn't talk back. He just smiled, said their car is coming to the front, running good lap times. Good day for Kevin Harvick. We'll have a different Jackman today, though, because he lost a guy after that fiasco you were just polling about.
Yeah, a couple of crewmen on suspension for the week, but the replacements brought in from the Richard Childress Racing NASCAR Cup Series teams. Dale Earnhardt Jr. leads at lap 72 complete, working 73. We should start to see some pit stops in another 10, 15 laps. We'll be back.
Thinking about this down a half on both front tires. Slowest one's going to be that 54 on the bottom. 54 on the bottom. Clear up right there if you need it. Still there. Clear, clear. Outside. Clear high, clear.
On pit road at lap 80, Marty.
And he comes to a stop. He came on the radio earlier, and I'll do my best Jimmy impression. He said, this car is awesome. And he was real happy with the car. They got a little bit tight towards the end of the run, and they're preaching to Jimmy on the radio, drive it in smooth, drive it off car. A little bit tight for Jimmy right now. They adjust it with air pressure, and they were talking about a wedge adjustment as well. 4 tires for Spencer.
Beginning to see a rush onto pit road now. Kyle Petty is in, getting ready to go. Tony Stewart is in. Johnny Benson is in, and look at this race for 6th place as Kevin Harvick tries to take it away from Jeff Burton, and they're right behind Michael Waltrip and Jimmy Johnson. I mentioned Tony Stewart on pit road a second ago. Matty?
Service already complete for Tony Stewart. They made a chassis adjustment. Tony was complaining about the 20 car just being way too tight earlier in this run.
it's really surprising how many cars have made pit stops.
And I'll tell you what, these guys, BP, that are having to make a lot of changes, it's really going to hurt. The guys are going to come out on top are the guys that really are close on their setups, because they only have to come in, make a small change, put tires on the fuel. The guys that are going to be doing spring rubbers and things like that are going to lose a lot of time on the racetrack.
Mark Martin in, Joe Nemechek just leaving pit road. Casey Mears, Johnny Benson also on and off pit road. And Mark down and away. Also Mike Skinner is in for a pit stop. You'll see Mark pass Mike Skinner. Jeff Gordon on pit road, lap 83, Bill.
And this was planned. You have to be very careful coming into pit road. The timing line is early. Gordon's car is a little tight in this, loose in and tight in the center. Has a little trouble in traffic, but it's just 4 tires and fuel. Been marching to the front, and his lap times have been very impressive, Marty.
Bill Kurt Busch has just really struggled today. His car has been tight. They go up on the track bar. Right there, you saw that adjustment. The biggest problem for him, no power steering. That's a problem at New Hampshire, but with a tight race car, I would think, Wally, that makes it even worse.
Yeah, that's going to be tough on him.
And Dale Earnhardt Jr., a bad entry. Earlier, he came on and said to his team, "Where is my pit stall?" They even held out the signboard. Jr., a little bit outside of his box. They come around the left side. Bill Dry trying to get those lugs off. Kevin Tuber-Pinnell jacking up the car. As a 42, and Jimmy McMurray's in as well. Junior's down and away. Dave?
12 car, Ryan Newman, tight from the middle, off the corner. Wedge adjustment already completed. Air pressure adjustment as well. Team trying to get him on and off the pit road as quick as possible. Good stop for the 12 bunch.
What a terrible stop from Junior, 18 seconds.
Hey, when you don't get in your box square, you mess the timing of your crew up.
Right. Oh, that's right. And we see Greg Biffle in the pits. Looks like they've got some trouble on the left side. Is he out of fuel?
He stalled it.
Well, there comes the ether.
Yeah, he's out of fuel.
The reason why Junior could get away with that, though, the way he did, I mean, it did hurt his pit stop a little bit, but he's got an empty box in front of him.
Out of fuel for the 16, and he got it refired by himself. That's pretty amazing. They did spray ether in the car. The car was extremely tight. They went up 2 rounds on the track bar. Bill?
Michael Waltrip on pit road wanted the air pressure reduced in his front tires, gave him a little bit more fight. He's got 4 new tires and fuel. He's on his way. We're waiting for Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, Jimmy Johnson now the leader. Matt Kenseth second. And Jimmy Johnson slowing in turn 4 and will come to pit road. You see Rusty Wallace leaving, Dave Blaney on and off pit road. And here's the leader in, Bill.
And his crew chief, Chad Knaus, really likes this pit stall. Says it helps him control the race. Chassis adjustment for him. Remember, he was tight, thought it was getting better, was not, ended up getting worse and worse as they went along. So he's got 4 tires and fuel and the command to lead.
Elliott Sadler comes on pit road. You'll see Jimmy go by him. And so Robbie Gordon will take over the lead, not yet having come to, Matt Kenseth will take over the lead, not yet having come to pit road. And now here comes your championship leader in. 45 miles an hour, today's pit road speed limit. And the pit road speed line, as Bill Weber mentioned, just like at all the other tracks this year, moved way out farther toward turn 4 than it used to be. Drivers have to get used to that. Marty?
They stayed out the extra lap on purpose, Alan. They wanted to get the 5 extra bonus points. Robbie Reiser told me this morning if it comes down to fuel mileage, I think we have the advantage. They can go as far as 95 laps on fuel. A little bit tight for Matt. A pound out of both left side tires off pit road. Great stop, 13.9.
Robbie Gordon is not pitted. Steve Park is not pitted. Then the lead will cycle back around. And Jeff Gordon got off pit road ahead of Dale Earnhardt Jr. And that's where the top 2 will be, right there, once the cycle of pit stops is completed.
And I said that, and we see Junior going by Jeff Gordon, and I said it was a terrible pit stop by Junior's team, and that's true, but you're right, it was not the fault of the team, it's just the way that he positioned the car on the pit road. Man, what happened? How come Junior come in so crooked?
Well, first off, Benny, he wasn't counted down to his pit stop. First, let me show you the pit stop was legal. You can see this is a card that all the NASCAR officials carry with a number of the penalties and rules. You can see this is how Junior's car pitted. The back end was out, but it was legal. Now, why Junior stopped like that is very simple. Now, we told you about 20 laps before his stop, Walt Smith, the pit crew coach, held out Junior's pit board sign so he could see where his stall was. But Tony Uri Jr. didn't count him down. 3 pits away, 2 pits away. There you go. He just told him you are 2 stalls past Jeremy Mayfield. That's why Junior almost almost missed his stall. Next time, Tony Jr. will count down Dale Earnhardt Jr.
And you know what? When you come down pit lane and you see 30 boards hanging out and you see all these different colors, everything just blends in. It's difficult to find your pit. And when I always have my guys say, hey, you're 5, 4, 3, 2, that really helps you. There you see him diving in his pits, but it's really tough. Just because that sign's hanging out there, it's not that easy to pick it up. See, as you come down pit lane, see all those colors?
Come on in here, right here, right, whoa, right here. Right there, that's good.
You know, you pick that 8 sign up at the last second.
That's right, the last second, because everything kind of blends in, all those colors. You'd think a red car would be easy to see. It just kind of blends in with all the rest of them.
And so Dale Earnhardt Jr., although having the longer stop, got out past Jeff Gordon, as you saw a couple of laps ago, and now Jr. back out in front of Gordon as Steve Park and Robbie Gordon have made pit stops and cycled things completely around. It's Earnhardt Jr., Jeff Gordon, Ryan Newman, Jimmy Johnson, and Michael Waltrip, the top 5 after the stops. Then Jeff Burton, Kevin Harvick, Bill Elliott, Jamie McMurray, and Matt Kenseth into the 10th position.
The hardest part about this racetrack is when you drive down in the corner, you watch Junior drive down the corner, you roll off the throttle, you hit the brake a little bit, and you let the car roll. You can't get back on the throttle until the front of the car stops to slide. And that's where most of these guys are going to be battling today, is trying to get some grip in the front of that car so you can get after the throttle early and get off that corner.
And look at those cars all about to be put a lap down by Junior. Bobby Labonte, Kurt Busch, Johnny Benson.
And see, Junior's getting after the throttle. That's why he makes that big gain on the center and off the corners, because he's getting on the throttle earlier than all those other cars.
Ryan Newman, the 12th car, goes by Jeff Gordon, moves into 2nd position, and takes off in the pursuit of the 8 car.
Earnhardt Jr. out in front here at New Hampshire International Speedway, closing in on the 1/3 mark of the race.
We didn't just give the new Ford F-150 more horsepower. We gave it the most low-end torque. Why did we push farther than anyone else? So you could do more than anyone else.
Down there, still there, clear low, clear. Outside. Go outside. Clear, all clear. outside. Still there. Still there. Clear, all clear. Clear, all clear. The 97 side looks, but you're going to be fine now. All clear.
Nose, clear high, clear high.
9 feet to driving. Hit your marks, drive away. Here.
Outside, buddy. Outside. Still there, outside. Clear high, clear high.
So Jeff Burton on the apron and heading for pit road.
We'll give it a try.
Pass up in here. Just listen to me. I'll tell you where to go. Right pass open. Here's somebody in the blue shirt. Just tell you turn left right there. Slow down a little bit. We'll go ahead and go right in. Right to...
They're going to pop the hood and take a look, sounds like.
Take him into the secondary garage here, the track that the Craftsman Truck Series used this weekend, and have a look at it. So, one contender sidelined, while Dale Earnhardt Jr. continues to lead. We are caution-free, and we're past the 1/3 point of this race, which begs the question, has there ever been a caution-free Winston Cup race here in New Hampshire?
And the answer is?
No.
No. And guess what? There will not be one today.
You're fairly confident in that?
Fairly confident.
Okay. Fewest cautions in a Winston Cup race here would be 2. July 1997. Dale Jarrett up to the 11th position after starting in 27th place today. Very solid run for the Big Brown car. And a couple things going on with this team this weekend. We told you during Discover Card Countdown to Green the heartbreaking story of crew chief's wife who lost her life the other day. Also, this weekend, the return to the racetrack of John Bryan, the Jackman, injured in this scary pit road accident during the Brickyard 400 at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway the first weekend of August.
And that right there is why they moved that timing lane further up the racetrack, so you don't have to come in so fast. If you're that guy in that first pit, you really have to rush the pit, and that's what happens sometimes. Dave?
Well, Wally, he missed 5 races recovering from leg and shoulder injuries. He's back for the first time since Indianapolis, and so I asked him after the first pit stop how it went. He said, boy, when I got off that wall, my legs were shaking a little bit, but as soon as I got around the front of the car, I forgot about all that and had a great stop.
That's good. And that's what happens. You know, you're always you're always a little bit antsy when you come back for the first time after injury or even being away for a long time, and you hope you can do it. But boy, once you get in the action, you never forget.
Change for second place, Jimmy Johnson and Michael Waltrip around Jeff Gordon. Back in the garage, Matt Yoakum's with Jeff Burton.
A very frustrating day for Jeff Burton and company. This team has made up so much ground, starting with Daytona with 5 top 10s. I know it's got to be frustrating.
Well, it really is. We had a car today I thought that, with the right changes was capable of winning.
Just trying to be patient there early, and I don't know, single car forward was good. We just, you know, it's kind of the way the year is gone. When we get a really good car, we have problems. The last 3 months, we put ourselves in contention to win races. We just have things like this happen. But real proud of our guys. They keep working hard, and our engine guys are doing a great job. Great horsepower. We just had something break.
Any idea what broke in the motor, Jeff?
If I had to guess, it was probably a valve spring broke, and then a valve broke, and it'll still run, but we went ahead and stopped, because if we stop, we may can fix it and then get back out. If I kept running, it would have blown up for sure.
Great battle going on between these three cars. And you know, Matt Kenseth, Jeff Burton is in the garage area with an engine problem. And while we were interviewing Jeff Burton, the 16 car pulls in, raises the hood. Is it the same problem, Marty?
VP, I would be concerned too, but this is the oil pump belt. It came off on the racetrack. Some debris knocked it off. They will try to put it back on here and see what they can get out of the engine for the rest of the day. They did not run too long without an oil pump belt. Greg brought it in as soon as he noticed the problem.
Harvey
gets in the back of Newman.
Yeah. That's racing for 5th place there, Wally.
Yeah.
See Greg Biffle behind the wall in his car as the team attempts to effect repairs on the 16.
I'll tell you what, Harvick's car is really, really good in the center. It was that last run, and it looks like it still is. He can really run through the center of the corner very quick.
Wasn't very good on the restart, Wally, but it's gotten better. They went down too much on the air pressure. They'll add an extra half a pound next time he pits.
So they went down to the back, Bill, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Does it seem, watching Ryan Newman, like he has a lot of troubles in traffic? Remember last week in Richmond, once he was okay for most of the night, but then once he got the lead, he left the field. Is that one of those clean air, dirty air cars again?
It could be.
When he gets around these lap cars is where he does all of his struggling, it seems like. Dave, am I onto something there?
You certainly are. His radio traffic just a little while ago. I'm a little tight off the corner, but Matt, I'm really struggling in traffic. That's to Matt Borland, his crew chief.
Okay. Thank you for the vindication.
And we talked about Greg Biffle knocking off the oil pump belt. It's stuff like that, just clumps of rubber. Any kind of debris can come up and knock that belt off. As a matter of fact, let's go inside our Home Depot virtual garage and show you what we're talking about. As we skim the shell back on the car, there's the oil pump belt, the green. Now, a piece of debris comes off the racetrack, goes in there, breaks the belt, and away it goes. When this oil pump stops turning, then there's no oil going to the connecting rods, the pistons inside the engine. Pretty soon it gets so hot that it just locks up. Hopefully Biffle saw the oil pressure before all that happened inside, but I doubt it.
It didn't completely turn red, just a little bit.
Yeah.
Marty.
Wally tried to get it at pit road as soon as you could, Greg, but was it too late?
Yeah, it was too late. I saw the oil pressure light come on down there, and I shut it off. I didn't want to cause a wreck, so I drove it around the corner there, shut it off. And too late, oil pump belt fell off, but it's too bad. I had a pretty good car. We're going to have to get a gas gauge, though. Got to quit running out of gas if we're going to win this Rookie of the Year deal.
There you go, and he said he saw a little bit of debris on the track, and that's what caused it. BP, you're all over it.
Yeah, I want to go back to what Alan was talking about, BP. You know, when your car is really, really good by itself, that's all aerodynamics, or most of it is. And I think probably what these guys are doing, like maybe what Jeff Gordon was working on, is having to get more mechanical grip and not rely on the air, you know, pin in the nose so much.
And changes for next year's cars were announced earlier this week by NASCAR, in which they're going to trim some of that rear spoiler off the car. Going to be 3/4 of an inch off the rear spoiler of all the cars for next year for all the races. And they're going to work with Goodyear on bringing out some softer tires to try and get more mechanical grip back into the cars and be less reliant on the aerodynamics.
You've got to make these cars where you've got to come in and change tires, I think. I mean, I think you have to make them to where you have to change tires like it used to be. Yeah. When you ran a whole tank of fuel out of these race cars, they were not handling, and you had to come and change 4 tires. It wasn't even a question of leaving tires on it.
These spoilers, these rear wings on these cars now, about 6 inches tall next year. As Alan said they're going to reduce them. Back 20 years ago, they were 3 inches tall, 3.5 inches tall, half the spoiler that we have now. So I do think that it's a step in the right direction, getting these cars less dependent on air.
So Kevin Harvick, after working Ryan Newman for a long time, finally gets 5th position away, and here comes Bill Elliott kicking Newman back to 7th. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is out in front. We are 120 laps complete in the Sylvania 300 at New Hampshire.
Still there. Clear, clear. Off is still staying a little free, just the center. Caution's out for debris on the backstretch. Caution is out.
Viagra. Ask your doctor if Viagra is right for you. And Yamaha, makers of fine motorcycles and ATVs. Nobody's more in tune with motorsports than Yamaha.
Caution flag is waving. First time today here at New Hampshire International Speedway. Debris on the backstretch.
And a huge break for Rusty Wallace, Tony Stewart. Those cars were right in front of the leader, Dale Earnhardt Jr.
First yellow of the race.
We'll be seeing a lot of pit stops right here.
Yes, we will. Now, everybody was just before lap 100. They've run 45 laps. We're going to see any two-tire changes here?
Probably.
I believe so.
Okay. I would agree. But let's see who. Earnhardt Jr., Jimmy Johnson, Michael Waltrip, Jeff Gordon, Kevin Harvick, your top 5 coming in.
Oh, trouble! Jeff Gordon.
Jeff Gordon and Michael Waltrip tangling. Gordon trying to go through Waltrip's pit to his stall, Bill.
Yeah, a lot of confusion down here now. Jeff Gordon trying to back out of the way. This pit stall down here is a very, very tight one. Gordon is away, Waltrip's away. They continue to work on the 48. We thought at the beginning of the race there could be problems with these tight pit stalls in the stopping line. Dave?
Loose in, tied off for Ryan Newman, a wedge and track bar adjustment. They were waiting to see what happened on the end of pit road before they decided on 2 or 4, and they only took 2, and not all the crew was ready for that.
Yeah, Michael Waltrip only got 2 tires. Jimmy Johnson took 4. I think a lot lot of guys got 2 tires there.
And once again, Jeff Gordon had no choice but take 4 tires because...
I had no idea that 15 car was coming in there.
Check it out. Michael Waltrip's in front of Jeff Gordon, and his pit is the second one. He's got to go around Jimmy Johnson. And Jeff tried to...
Whoa! Oh, man, look at the 48 guys right up on the hood of Jeff Gordon's car. Oh, man.
Jackman got it.
Got clipped. Tire changer and tire carrier up over the hood of the 24.
Chris Anderson is the jackman on the 48 car. Ex-school teacher was talking to him this morning.
See, watch. Waltrip goes to his pit around Johnson's car, and Gordon...
thinking that he was going to this pit up here, and thinking he was going to drive through
Michael Waltrip's pit, but why would he think that?
I guess he didn't know Michael was pitting there. You know, he thought he was going to get to the inside of Michael because he was going to come quickly to his pit, and he must have thought Michael was going farther down pit road.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Oh, man.
And you're sitting there with Jimmy Johnson going, man, he just ran over my guys.
Bill?
Just amazingly calm down here in the 48 pit, the 24 on pit road. They look at his car, but Jimmy Johnson back for left side tires, and now they're going to check the crew. Everybody appears to be okay, but they're going to work with a front tire changer update in a second.
All right, Bill, thanks. You keep us posted there.
That was Ryan McRae, I think, the front carrier on the 48 car, and Chris Anderson, the jack guy.
I want you to watch this. Watch after the accident on the pit road. Okay, the contact. Watch Chad Knaus, the crew chief. Did he get my front fender? Look at Chad. Always thinking. Yeah, he could have been looking for some of the crew guys.
No, I think he was looking at the fender.
I think so too. Under caution here at New Hampshire International Speedway on TNT.
Yeah, helmet and stuff in case I gotta go. You know what I'm saying? Like I was fucking in La La Land or something. I don't know. I understand exactly what you're saying. I get in that situation a lot. See, when I talk to him. Yeah.
watching the Sylvania 3.
And that is a scary situation. Thank goodness those helmets.
Yep. And again, Bill Weber with the update there that everybody's okay, but they're still working with one of the crewmen just to make sure. Jeff Gordon on his radio just after the crash on pit road.
Well, I'm so sorry. I had no idea that 15 car was coming in there.
And there again, we talked about it earlier. You know, although the pit is right there, you still don't look at those guys. It's just a bunch of colors and blur.
Bill?
Corey Quick, the front tire changer, is the guy they're working on back in their transporter in the garage. But he did change the left sides after that incident. So we got hit, finished the right sides. They came back in, he did the left sides. Now they're looking, it looks like to be his ankle back in the garage area.
Okay, Bill, thanks. And we'll keep you posted with further information as it comes in. Cleaning up the track still, so we're under caution in New Hampshire, and we'll be back on TNT.
Well, folks, everything.
Just save the fuel there a little bit. We're just trying to get it. We'll get one more stop out of it. We're getting close to that.
Sweeping, Jamie. Is it rubber or is it racetrack?
There's nothing there. I think they're just being really careful.
Okay. They've been wanting to throw this caution for about the last 30 laps.
I really thought when the 99 was smoking so bad, I could smell oil. I figured they'd throw one in, but they didn't. To the 24, where'd he go?
It's one of them deals where they were all pitting down there on the end of pit road and they all had a collision there.
Oh, that's not good.
Oh, 48 really got the bad end of it.
As 43 of NASCAR's fastest burn up the track to take the check.
big show. There's room for one more.
Yeah. Bird.
Come on. All right, let's go. Go. 4,700, bud. Okay, bud, let's get caught up. Coming to the green.
Again, you know, they're going to be fine. Lowe Chevrolet's running good. We'll see if we can get back up there in the top 10 and get a good finish.
If Corey can't come back, are you going to change front tires?
It's a possibility. I might have to come out of retirement.
Well, you practiced with the team earlier this year, didn't you?
I practiced a few times, so we won't be, you know, 13s, but we can probably get some 14s done.
And we're back under green. Bill Elliott is the race leader. Off pit road first. Ryan Newman second. Michael Waltrip third. Elliott Sadler fourth. Dale Earnhardt Jr. fifth. Followed by Kevin Harvick, Matt Kenseth, Jeremy Mayfield. Who's that? Sadler sliding around there. Jamie McMurray and Rusty Wallace, your top 10. A lot of strategies played out here. I'll give you the quick recap among the front runners. Right sides only for Elliott, Newman, Waltrip, John Andretti, Rusty Wallace, and Elliott Sadler. 4 tires for Earnhardt Jr., Matt Kenseth, Jimmy Spencer, Mayfield, and McMurray.
Bill Elliott went to a lot of trouble to keep that 30 car inside on that restart.
He sure did.
Jeff Gordon from 4th to 23rd because of the pit road incident. Jimmy Johnson 2nd to 22nd. And you look at the race for the lead with Bill Elliott and Ryan Newman. Yeah, stories of this road today, this race today, a lot of green flag racing and some incidents on pit road. Dale Jr. with the troubles getting to his pit box on his first stop, and now the accident here on his second pit stop.
Oh, Bill gets a little loose down the corner, leaves the opening for Ryan Newman. Hey, Matt, is Elliott complaining about the car whatsoever?
Well, Benny, he liked the race car before that stop. No adjustments when they made that stop, just right side tires only. In fact, Ray Evernham said the car looks great down in turns 1 and 2, and you were killing them down in 3 and 4. That was before that stop.
And again, interesting to see if Ryan Newman can get out in that clean air and then get away from Bill Elliott. Meantime, Jimmy Johnson, 21st place, and Bill's got another update on the injured crew member.
Yeah, just wanted to answer Benny's question he was asking during the break. Chris Anderson, the Jackman, is okay. He said, I'll be a little bruised tomorrow, but he was able to smile about it.
Well, good. That's good. Ryan McRae used to race against Ryan's father even out in California, Rick McRae.
Good news there. Everybody's basically okay.
Well, that car, I don't know what it's doing, but it does look loose.
It does.
I mean, I don't know if he's tight getting in, and that's why the car's getting loose, but Bill Elliott's car is certainly loose in the center.
Bill was running in the top 10 in the final 5 laps of the July race here and had to stop for fuel and wound up finishing 31st. Matty?
And what happened in that race, Alan, the drive brake actually hung open, and when Bill was turning left and right, cleaning the tires, the extra fuel was sloshing out of the dry brake. That's where they lost that fuel. That's why they had to pit with 5 to go.
And it cost them big. 31st is not what they should have had that day.
Jack Elliott's out of the 38 car.
Yep.
It's a new country heard from. Trying to get alongside the 15 of Michael Waltrip.
Started 24th. Took just 2 tires on his pit stop there a minute ago. Got up to 4th place. And Michael Waltrip trying that very, very bottom line. We see most guys, when they're not being challenged, run a lane up from the bottom like Michael is there. But last time down in 1 and 2, he experimented with going all the way to the yellow line.
He's searching.
Looking for...
Yeah, well, he's not really gaining, and he's trying to figure out where, where his car will stick. So if he does get to the back of the 12 car, he can try to make a pass. But it seems like they're all winding up in the center of the corner.
Ryan Newman, our pole sitter today, running second right now. Our Walmart NASCAR Winston Cup race fact. The man who started on the pole has won only 2 of the 17 NASCAR Winston Cup races here at New Hampshire. The 2 winners from the pole, Jeff Gordon and Ryan Newman. This race 1 year ago. Jeff Burton, though, started 38th in 1999 and won.
After they run a few laps, Elliott is starting to put a little distance on Ryan Newman. It's not much.
Oh, Ward Burton into the wall. That's turn 2, and the caution flag is out. Ward was running 19th.
Wow.
What was that?
That wasn't very gentlemanly.
I think they'll just slow down faster than they were ready for.
Well, it sure looked like a bump from the rear causing that, doesn't it?
Get caught up to the back of the field here, okay?
See that damage in the left?
Looks like they're all up.
See the tire mark on just in front of the left rear tire? Let's see if that's what caused the spin.
Sure looks like it. That's a big bump.
Okay.
Probably on the outside of somebody. Somebody slid up the track into him.
Ooh, Jimmy Johnson.
Johnson, the 48 car, got down in the corner and got loose when he corrected it.
And if the 22 car wouldn't have been there, Jimmy Johnson would have spun out.
No doubt.
Still there. 48 got us, guys, right in the door.
And Ward testing the safer barrier, newly installed here at New Hampshire. Now, Bill Elliott slows up, coming to the caution flag, and Ryan Newman and Michael Waltrip. Oh, wait a minute.
I think Newman was trying to keep Waltrip behind him. In the meantime, he passed Elliott.
Bill?
Jimmy Johnson on pit road with his original pit crew back in place. Corey Quick, the front tire changer, treated and released from the infield care center, working on the left front now. Made a chassis adjustment. They'll send Jimmy back out with a full load of fuel.
Tony Stewart, Robbie Gordon, and now Ward Burton on pit road under the caution. Dave?
They're going to take a look at it here before they necessarily take it back to the garage. They may not. So let's see if they can pound it out well enough. And they just made a wedge adjustment for the car that actually been running fairly well, but you saw the contact on the track that sent him into the wall.
That spoiler's got a serious wedge adjustment right there.
It's got a wedge E. Under caution for the second time here at New Hampshire International.
Got 151 laps to go from this point right here, Jimmy.
10-4.
Hit the chip all day today. Hell, when I was making that one long run, I was lifting at the flag stand. I think it's an inner spring, if it is a spring, because it's, know, I mean, that Boca valve spring is really be slower than it is. It's slow, but it ain't that damn bad. I mean, it's, you know, I lose a couple car lengths on the straightaway, but not. It don't seem bad right now, but I damn sure don't like it. I ain't happy about it.
Yeah, 10-4. It's probably the inner just like it was out there at Homestead. Just you try to turn it just to make it run off the corner, but then it blows up. So we just gotta come back with left gear next time, I reckon.
We gotta get something decent.
You ready to pace cars off?
Friction somewhere in the drivetrain.
Running on 7, you can hear it.
Green flag. Running on 7. Dale Earnhardt Jr. He's in 5th place.
And that's not good. It takes 8 to beat these guys. 8 cylinders.
Bill Elliott leading. Ryan Newman 2nd. Michael Waltrip 3rd. Elliott Sadler 4th. Then Earnhardt Jr. Bobby Labonte, the first car, a lap down in 24th place, unsuccessful at getting a lap back from leader Bill Elliott on the restart.
Tell you what, if that 8 car's running on 7, it's running pretty fast on 7.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I watched him down the backstretch. Sure looks like to me running on 8.
He's not getting past.
No, he's not on 7, or he'd be getting smoked right now.
All right, so they'll re-examine that one, huh, Matt?
Alan, one thing that Dale Earnhardt Jr. did say under that caution, it's not bad yet, but he does lose 1 to 2 car lengths down the straightaways.
My guess is that he's broken a valve spring, and he's only lost about 10-15% of that 8th cylinder, but it will not get any better.
So Junior trying to work his way around the lap traffic and keep in touch with the yellow car up there, Elliott Sadler. That's the next position ahead for him to gain 4th spot. Matt, you got more?
And Benny's exactly right. Tony Eury Jr. and Jeff Clark were consulting about the problem. Tony Jr. said, we believe it's a valve spring.
Okay. See if he's able to nurse it through the rest of the race, or if it'll start to develop further problems as we go. But Junior, 2nd place man in the championship, potentially having more problems here today. Kevin Harvick coming up on the back of Dale Earnhardt Jr. Trouble off turn 2. Robbie Gordon, 22nd place, last car on the lead lap. Caution's out, and Robbie will grab a gear and let it go. What happened?
Ooh, he just got way loose getting off of turn 2 there. Stood on the brakes. Probably flat spot of the tires pretty good.
And look at that. The racetrack complex includes a road course, and that little piece of pavement that he is sliding onto is where you kind of hang a little hook into the infield and then turn right and go outside the oval track to continue racing on the motorcycle course.
And that probably, the fact that he's not getting the grass might have saved him getting in the inside retaining wall. So no harm, no foul on the 31 car.
Grabbed a gear.
Oh, he's in a hurry to get back to the pits.
Not Baja, Robbie.
All clear. He just spun out coming off 2. We did not hit nothing. Okay, keep digging. Caution will be out. We didn't hit nothing.
Just past the midway point today here at New Hampshire, under caution for a Robbie Gordon spin.
No, that's why we got in trouble at Richmond, remember? No advancing, period.
Slowed up and stopped.
Clear.
Okay, 5,000.
Yeah, that's more than them. 1383.
Friday 1 to go again.
Here come the lap cars. The first one will be the 18 again.
About 75 times per second this spring is going up and down. I don't know how they stay together at all races, but that's what happens. They get so hot, it breaks this spring. When that happens, the valve starts bouncing against the cylinder head.
So far, Junior hanging in there in 5th place, and we'll see if, like I said, he falls suspect to any of those further problems as this race goes on. Newman gets to regroup and try Bill Elliott again for the lead.
And there's 3 wide off turn 2. Well, everybody made it so far.
Under the caution flag, Jimmy Johnson, Robbie Gordon, Christian Fittipaldi, Johnny Benson, Ricky Craven, Kenny Wallace, Johnny Sauter, and Ward Burton a couple of times made pit stops. Most all of the lead lap cars did not pit. Oh, crash off turn 4. Dale Jarrett. Right back across into the center of traffic, but everybody avoids him. Cautions, Reed,
Cautions, I'm telling you. See some fire under the hood of that car.
All right.
Oh,
Wow,
boy,
Bobby
they get some
Labonte.
laps back, aren't they?
And Ryan Newman racing Bill Elliott back to the caution flag. Michael Waltrip.
Ooh, here's the bad deal. You got a car sitting in the racetrack right now, and these guys are racing back in yellow.
Yeah.
That is just, I hate to see that.
Dale Jarrett was running in 11th spot at the time. And now he sits crashed just shy of the start-finish line.
And lots and lots of damage. Let's see. Here we see Spencer coming off the corner in the 7, gets loose just like Jimmy Johnson did. He goes up, gets in the side of the 88 car, and the brown truck goes around. He's knocked an oil line off with the fuel pump off the left side. That's where the fire was coming from.
Boy. Heavy with the back end of front end contact. So a very difficult week for Dale Jarrett and his team. Jimmy Spencer tangled in turn 4, with Jarrett getting the worst of it.
Run over any brake rotor parts, you think, Michael, did you? say they're scattered everywhere from 4 to where that car stopped. Doesn't appear that they've picked a whole lot of it up as far as what they're talking about being down there. So.
You're watching the Sylvania 300 from New Hampshire International Speedway on NASCAR In-Car on In Demand.
He's actually talking on the radio.
That's what he's doing, yeah.
But I don't think he unbuckled, which of course was definitely a smart move on his part.
The drivers are told in their pre-race meeting 2 hours before race time, let the leader be the one to race cars back to the start-finish line. Let him be the one to decide who to keep a lap down and who not to.
Right.
Bill Elliott, that was his prerogative there to decide whether to let those cars have a lap back or not. But it seemed like the guys racing with him, Newman and Waltrip, had other ideas in mind.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. It's the leader. He makes a decision. Now, when those guys start racing you back to the line, it forces your hand if you're the leader. So it's just a scary situation.
Bill?
And I'm told by Bobby Labonte's crew that Bill Elliott had told Bobby's team that I will let him get a lap back if the caution comes out. That's why Elliott slowed down, and then everything went crazy.
But see, another problem you got the 41, and you've got the 30, you've got the 77. All these guys are trying to hurry up too and get their lap back. They're trying to beat the leader back. In the meantime, like I said, you've got a car sitting right in the middle of the racetrack. This is the worst situation you can have when it comes to racing back to yellow, and you've got oil on the racetrack.
And the 41 car, all of a sudden, whoops, there says the 88. I better try to dodge it. Yeah.
I got a lot to clean up still here in the front straightaway. So we'll take a break. 135 laps to go. None of the leaders have pitted. Bill Elliott out in front here in New Hampshire.
Join
200. So that's another reason to not be dumb.
Have the right truck. Introducing the 2000.
One to go, finally, one to go. Completing 170, so you have 130 to go right now, 129 when the green comes out. Thank you. Oh, Roger here, a couple more. Toss them a needle, see if I can catch them in my mouth every time I go by. All 7 cylinders. They're pretty hairy, so just be ready.
What'd you say, Junebug? Y'all was talking all over each other.
Catch them in my mouth as I go by every lap.
All right, we got some red ones in the truck.
Cup Racing from New Hampshire International Speedway on TNT. Brought to you by Chevy Trucks, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road. Visa, proud sponsor of NASCAR. Visa, it's everywhere you want to be. And Wrangler, real, comfortable jeans.
And the green flag is waving here at New Hampshire International Speedway in the Sylvania 300. Bill Elliott leads, Ryan Newman is second, Michael Waltrip third, Elliott Sadler fourth, Dale Earnhardt Jr. fifth. The rest of the top 10 are Kevin Harvick, Matt Kenseth, Jamie McMurray, Jeremy Mayfield, and Rusty Wallace. Getting back, just about this thought, VP, getting back on the lead lap, coming to that last caution, were Bobby Labonte, Dave Blaney, and Kurt Busch.
See some damage to the rear of the 6 car. Kind of aluminum strip. And we see the 41 car, Casey Mears, in front of the second place car of Ryan Newman. Marty.
Dale Jarrett coming from the Infield Care Center. First of all, are you okay? And what happened to cause the wreck?
Yeah, I'm okay. Just on the restart, and 7 car, I don't know where he thought he was going, but just ran all over me. About all you can say about it.
Were you aware of the guys racing back to the caution, and you had a unique perspective on that, DJ?
Yeah, not a good place to be. Knew they'd be coming back. I started to get unbuckled, and I buckled back up, and yeah, that wasn't a very good sight to be looking in your mirror seeing that. I know what they're doing, what they got to do, but not a fun place to be. But we had a really good car, shouldn't have been in that position anyway. Few people learn to use their heads. We're not even halfway in the race.
Dale Jarrett does have a bruised right knee and just a tough end to what was a very difficult week for this 88 bunch.
Yeah, to say the least. And Marty, just to button up the story on racing back to the caution flag, just before the restart, NASCAR race director David Hoots, across the NASCAR Race Control channel, said the 12 and the 15, Ryan Newman and Michael Waltrip, had no business trying to race the 9, Bill Elliott, back to that caution flag. Let the leader be the one to decide who gets a lap back and who doesn't.
And I agree. We talked about this during the break, is that if they would have just stayed in line behind Bill Elliott and let the cars that were lapped down try to get their lap back, they wouldn't have been all boxed in 3 abreast getting off of 4. That's what created the dangerous situation. But instead, those guys started juking around for position, and if they would have just lined up behind Elliott and gave those guys room, I think it would have been a safer deal.
See Junior working on Michael Waltrip, trying to get that spot. The problem is these cars would have still come off the corner at 140 miles per hour with a defenseless car sitting there.
Right. But they wouldn't have been 3 abreast, maybe.
No,
they would have been, you know,
single file.
The big picture issue is still the same. Racing back to the caution is,
yeah. Nobody likes it.
Watch some of the bumping and banging here on the restart.
Oh, man. Matt Kenseth, the 17 car, gets in the back of Harvick.
Rusty Wallace over into Mark Martin.
That's where Mark got the damage.
Yeah. Jeremy Mayfield, I think, got the back of McMurray. There's a little accordion effect there.
All it takes is one guy to miss a shift in that pack, and about 10 other guys pay for it.
Tell you what, Junior's hanging right in there with that engine issue. I know Matt Yoakum's keeping an eye on that for us, but he's still running in 4th place. That's pretty impressive. Right now working on his teammate Michael Waltrip for 3rd. Matty, any more?
Well, one thing, Alan, coming back to the caution, Dale Jr. said, man, this is just crazy out here, but he hasn't really commented much about the engine. It's holding steady, but he is trying to make what he says is a very boring situation kind of a little bit humorous for he and his crew. He came on the radio at one point and said, let's have some fun here.
They toss him a needle, see if I can catch him in my mouth every time I go by on 7 cylinders. All right, we got some red ones in the truck.
Oh, it's not that slow going by that he could reach out and, what was it, M&M's? Is that what he was talking about?
Yeah. Kevin Harvick working on Junior now for 4th place. Harvick finished 2nd here in the July race. And currently sitting 441 points behind Matt Kenseth in the race for the NASCAR Winston Cup Championship. 3 top 10s in 5 New Hampshire Winston Cup starts for Kevin Harvick. See, he's gotten around Elliott Sadler and put Elliott back to 6th place. But look at the gap up to the front 2. Talk about clean air. Bill Elliott is gone. That is 1.2 seconds to Ryan Newman, the 2nd place car, 3.7 seconds to Michael Waltrip, the 3rd place car.
A lot of that had to do with those guys getting boxed up with the cars that were lapped down, like Steve Park, Casey Mears.
Yeah. 41 car, yeah.
Dirty air, traffic. Here's Dale Jr. a minute ago. You
stop doing that.
But that's his teammate.
But now Junior can't catch Michael.
Teammate or no teammate, you don't really think of him as a teammate. You may be a little gentler on the bumper, but you're still going to get just as mad at your teammate as you would anybody else out on the racetrack.
Look at Harvick there, try to go in underneath him and slide up a little bit.
I don't know if this engine is getting weaker in the 8 car, but it seems to me like he doesn't have the speed right now that he had 50 laps ago.
Matt Kenseth creeping into the back of that group. 2 yellow car. Oh, front straightaway. Got a car going up in smoke.
Up over here in the front straightaway.
Hermie Sadler.
Cox is going to be out. Cox is out.
Yellow flag number 5.
We went from 0 to 5 in a hurry.
All right, now let's think about this. 117 laps to go. There'll be 116 to go when they come back around.
And
4 tires, top off the fuel.
Yep.
Yeah. Set yourself up for a splash and dash later on. So Hermie Sadler looking to join Greg Biffle and Dale Jarrett in the garage. Jeff Burton has come back out onto the track after 66 laps behind the wall for repairs. Though he has since pulled it back in behind the wall and would appear to be getting set to call it a day. Now, the couple of times they've been on pit road today have been fairly exciting. Let's see. Elliott, Newman, Waltrip, Earnhardt Jr., Harvick the first 5.
Michael Waltrip all of a sudden decided late to make a pit stop, and so did Jimmy Johnson. Matt.
And Bill Elliott decided to pit. They're not going to make any adjustments to the 9 car. Remember, on his last stop, they only took on right side tires. So Mike Ford called for 4, but they are still going to have to pit one more time, Marty.
Last second decision here for Matt Kenseth. Matt, they take 4 tires. It'll be no changes on the stop just outside their fuel window, and trouble on the left front, Dave.
4 tires and fuel for Ryan Newman. He's happy with the balance. He just can't catch the 9 car. He said, boy, that Bill's got a real hot rod, doesn't he?
Michael Waltrip, another last-second decision to come down pit road. They'd actually talked about staying out another 20 to 25 laps, and their conversation was virtually over. And turn around, he's on pit road. So we're under caution, 184 laps on the board at the New Hampshire International Speedway. You're watching NASCAR on TNT.
Half a pound, left front.
All right, 1 to go when you cross the line. Green at 187. 187.
Hey, bud, just work them in for us. Work them in really good. All right, 1 to go when you come around here. First guy who pitted is 6th, I think.
Basketball, hockey combined. Their season stopped for months.
Now, Jimmy, back up to 7th, buddy. 114 laps to go right now. 113 when you take the green. 4 lap cars coming inside.
Running a little warmer here for some reason. I'm like 240 right now under caution. Fan breaker is off. I got it. We're good. 4.
Pace car's down. The 41 car's up here.
Flag. Top 5 didn't stop.
But he's got a car right in front of him that's on the tail end of the lead lap.
Casey
needs to get by him quick. Needs to get by him quick.
And he gets by the 0 car of Jason Leffler now. Can he catch Mears, or is Mears going to hold him up, or is Mears going to drive away from him?
I just going to set the picture for you real quick, BP. Earnhardt Jr., Ricky Rudd, Joe Nemechek, Sterling Marlin, Dave Blaney. Top 5 did not pit under this caution flag. Fuel only for Kevin Harvick and Jimmy Johnson and a few others. They're first in line off of pit road in 6th and 7th on down. Ryan Newman got 4 tires. He's in 10th. Bill Elliott, 13th.
like that Casey Mears, the 41 car, had a pretty decent car before the caution flag. Sterling Marlin, the 40 car, is 4th place automobile, and they're 3 wide, up in 3 and 4.
Kevin Harvick, Ken Schrader, Jimmy Johnson. Harvick and Johnson racing for 6th and 7th.
Jamie McMurray, 42, trying to go by on the outside. I don't think that's going to work.
No, Schrader's there and going to get blocked in.
Hasn't yet. Wow.
What's that?
Ryan Newman.
Oh. Contact somewhere there.
Slide job there. Newman and Tony Stewart racing for 10th and 11th. And Bill Elliott in the red Dodge there trying to come through the traffic also.
Stewart got in the back of Park. And Newman had to go way low.
Nice save by Park.
That was a terrific save by Steve Park. Talking to Mike Beam, the crew chief on that AOL car this morning, and he said they're about out of race cars. They've had so many problems here lately that they don't need another wrecked race car. So, Steve, good job.
We have 25 cars on the lead lap. Everybody of those that stopped came in at 184 with 116 to go. That's farther than anybody can make it to the finish on fuel. Nobody can go from there. But what the guys who did pit set themselves up for was to just top off the fuel as soon as they get into their window, if they get a caution flag, and try and pick up some spots getting off pit road quickly. Newman and Tony Stewart still at it for 10th and 11th. Jeff Gordon behind him in 12th. Gordon also got just fuel on his pit stop. 17 car Matt Kenseth all the way back to 19th place, Marty.
And he hit pit road last time, Alan, running in the 7th position. They had a lug nut hang on the left front tire. They had to thread it back by hand, and they fell back to 19th when they came off pit road. They talked about coming back down pit road and topping off with fuel, but they're still 20 to 25 laps short.
Okay, thanks, Marty. So your championship leader with some ground to make up to get back to where he was before the pit stops. 41 Casey Mears, last on the lead lap, 25th place, basically a mile behind the leader Dale Earnhardt Jr. Our Little Debbie lap leaders today. Earnhardt Jr. has led the most laps. Before today, Tony Stewart in the wall. Turn 2. Was Mr. Newman involved? They were racing for that spot.
And Casey Mears, that 41 car persistence has paid off. He gets to make up that entire mile he's behind.
It's a good job.
Tony Stewart drives away.
Rather unhappily.
I was thinking exactly the same thing.
Okay. Let's see.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Newman went in there and got in a four-wheel slide. Unfortunately, Tony Stewart became the barrier.
You know, there was enough contact there. We see the safer barrier when Tony backed the car in. It's great to see these things. I applaud all these speedways, and I applaud NASCAR for going to the trouble to get something that's going to work.
Okay, 105 laps to go. Now who comes in? Sterling Marlin going to give up 4th. Dave Blaney going to give up 6th. And Kevin Harvick back in. Remember, he took just fuel on that last stop. Let's see what he does this time, Bill.
The 29 is tight in the middle and tight off. A half-pound of air out of the left side tires for Kevin Harvick. Again, as Alan said, they had stopped only for fuel last time. So this time it's 4 tires. And guess what? The next word you'll hear are fuel mileage, Snyder.
Oh, it ought to be interesting, Bill, for our championship leader, Matt Kenseth. Service is already done. Down on the track bar, a little bit loose. They are on the edge of their fuel window. They can go 95 laps on fuel. With some caution laps, they can stretch it. Dave?
Fuel only for Ryan Newman, and gosh, it seems a lot like July when he had to slow down at the end of the race to conserve fuel because he's over 100 to go at this point, so we'll check on that, guys.
But you see the right front tire on Newman's car where he made contact. See, the Goodyear is gone, so looks like they would have changed that right side tires anyway.
A track position derby is beginning to unfold here in New Hampshire today. Now, Tony Stewart, he's got bigger problems than his track position right now.
When you get to the stripe.
It's something, we walked on you. Up hit, 1 to go, clean them up. I don't think anyone really can make it from here, but you never know nowadays. 12 must think he can. Well, he'd have to get a lot of caution laps, that's for sure.
All right, here come the lap cars. First one you'll see is the 45.
Junior leads. Ricky Rudd second, Joe Nemechek third, Jimmy Johnson fourth, Jamie McMurray fifth. None of those drivers pitted under this caution flag. First who did under this yellow, Sterling Marlin, 15th place. Second, Johnny Benson in the 10. First car a lap down. He's in 26th.
Interesting how this plays out. I think the 29 car, Kevin Harvick, pit that last time, took 4 tires. I think he's in a good position right now because he can gas and go. What do you think, Bill?
I agree with you. I think they're in a good position. They are 9 green flag laps short. That means they need about 20 caution flag laps to make it to the end. But they talked it over between crew chief and driver, Todd Berrier and Harvick. They decided, let's come get our tires now, fill it up with fuel, see what happens. If we have to stop one more time, it'll just be first flash.
Matt Kenseth getting passed by Kevin Harvick out on the racetrack. He came on the radio. They too, Bill, 9 laps short. If they go green the rest of the way, he said, I'll save you some fuel under caution, but once we go green, there are no guarantees. If we need to save 30 to go on fuel, I'll do it then, but for now, I'm racing as hard as I can go. Dave?
On the 12 car, guys, it is exactly the same as July. They pitted with about 103 to go in July. They had to slow down to try to conserve fuel to the end. I just checked with Matt Borland. I asked him, isn't this the same situation? He said, yep. I said, did you get any more fuel mileage out of the motor room? He said, I don't know. But he had a smile on his face. Alan?
A little coy there, is he? Well, we'll find out. And then, what about the leader? What are they thinking? Dale Earnhardt Jr. did not pit at lap 184, did not pit at lap 196 when some others did. Matt, what are they saying?
His engine tuner and the guy who calculates the fuel mileage is Jeff Clark. Jeff, where do you guys stand, not only with your engine problem, but on your fuel mileage situation?
Yeah, right now, Matt, we've got a broken inner spring. We're hoping to limp along here and finish our regular fuel run. If we can do that, it'll put us back in the field momentarily. I think these other teams are going to get worried, try and short pit, which I think will put us back out front as far as track position. Dale Jr. says if he can get out front, he can keep the momentum and hopefully win this race.
Junior said under caution he feels like he's had a gunfight with a knife, but if he stays out in clean air, he feels like with his driving he can help pick up the tenth or two that he loses because of being on 7 cylinders.
As long as he's able to run around the racetrack by himself and traffic is not involved, it's not going to slow him down that much. But if he gets in the traffic like this and he has to back off the gas and keep off and try to accelerate by someone, he's going to be hard-pressed to do that.
Watching Michael Waltrip and Bill Elliott there race for 7th and 8th places. Waltrip just getting by Bill to pick up that spot. And there's Terry Labonte in 9th right behind them in the 5 car. And ladies and gentlemen, it is time to
cue the duck.
Yes, sir. Our Aflac NASCAR Winston Cup trivia question.
Aflac!
Who was the last driver to lead every lap in a NASCAR Winston Cup race? This isn't even a challenge. Come on, guys.
You told him that already.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, early before the show started. Actually, right at the very top of the show, you said Jeff Burton led every lap here at New Hampshire.
September 2000, he started 2nd, got the jump at the start, and led every lap, even through the pit stops and so on. His crew held the top spot. They used restrictor plates here at New Hampshire that day. And Jeff Burton would have hurt on the field.
That was awful.
Yeah, it wasn't. I remember that. It wasn't a thing of beauty, was it?
No. I don't think anybody passed anybody that day.
Here's 3rd place. Jimmy Johnson trying to pass his Hendrick Motorsports teammate, Joe Nemechek. What a day for Johnson's team. The pit road accident earlier in the race that his crew has bounced back from. It was lap 127. Set them all the way back to 22nd place at the time. Then they came in and got fuel only under a lap 184 caution to regain some of their track position and did not stop under the lap 196 yellow. Terry Labonte tried to get 8th from Bill Elliott. Tell you what, for a car that was wrecked in final practice yesterday, it hasn't been spectacular, but it's been a decent day for Terry and that 5 crew. And for Dale Earnhardt Jr., what will their fuel strategy be? He's out in front inside the final 100 laps.
Bodies in front of you. Up here on the outside up here, up high. Clear high. Guiding, 30 flats in front of you. All clear.
What could be the largest cash payout in...
corner clear.
No changes to the car. A little bit tight. They'll have to stop around lap 260 as Elliott Sadler gets by, Bill.
And Elliott Sadler having an outstanding run, a little free in. They took 2 tires on lap 127. The car's been consistent. They did pit around lap 200. They will probably go to the end. Now the leader on pit road, Matt.
And Dale Earnhardt Jr., they've got the signboard out waving. He sees it. He comes to a stop. Jeff Clark, the gas man's going to make the chassis adjustment to try to work on Junior's car a little more. Make what supposedly right now is a good car even better as Jay Guarneri hits those lugs in the left rear. Jeff Clark says, yes, we got all the gas in, and Junior's down and away.
But by the time he gets up to speed off of pit road, he's going to be a lap down. There goes Ricky Rudd, the new leader, by Dale Jr. Jr. last stopped at lap 127. Didn't take advantage of any of those other caution opportunities to come in and get some fuel.
104 laps.
I double-checked and triple-checked those numbers before I said it, just to make sure, because it didn't sound right to me, but wow, they've been pouring over it behind me here, and it's right. 40 laps since that lap 127 have been under caution.
Well,
but the point is not taking advantage of the opportunity to pit under the yellow has now cost them by having to stop under the green.
Now all they can hope for is that everyone else has to stop under the green.
Junior a lap down in 24th place. Meantime, this is the race for 5th and 6th. Jamie McMurray in the 42 trying to hold off Jeff Gordon. And up front, Michael Waltrip just passed Joni Nemechek for 3rd.
Michael Waltrip has a very, very good race car in that 15 today. He just passed Jeff Gordon a few moments ago. McMurray drove by all these cars.
Yep. Mikey Waltrip with a best finish here at New Hampshire of 8th, which he did in this race 1 year ago. And now Jeff Gordon trying to work on Jamie McMurray. Over him. Now that would be a rarity if we see somebody drive around the outside here in New Hampshire and make a pass, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be very rare.
McMurray kind of protecting that bottom lane, so Gordon hunting the line.
Now 24 is getting off the corner a little bit better because he's using that higher line in the center, but he doesn't have enough to drive up alongside of him and present the nose. Although he may be presenting it on his bumper here in a minute.
Yeah, he is. Right now he's presenting it. Oh,
you hear him all over that red.
Nice and smooth. Car with new tires on in your mirror. Keep going, new tires inside, clear behind them. Clear.
System.
And just too tight everywhere else. Forward. Clear. No pressure. Find you a line that'll work.
do it back.
Is that Danny Culler, the spotter?
So now we know it's okay to do that if you're on probation, right?
Yeah, I guess. That's just a little bump and run.
Matt Kenseth, the 17, the championship leader, just goes by Elliott Sadler, moves into the 12th position.
Trying to dig his way back after falling down as far as 19th on that last pit stop exchange. Marty?
He may actually be in pretty good shape, Alan. Remember, they have 4 fresh tires, just like Kevin Harvick, and they're kind of keeping pace with Harvick right now. The car, too, for Matt, gets better the longer they run. I asked Robbie Reiser, will you try to stretch the fuel? They're 9 laps short. He said, if I get 1 caution period, I will try it.
1 caution period. Well, he hadn't had it yet. And we're down to 55 laps to go. But Matt Kenseth by Elliott Sadler for 12th place. Now up front, Ricky Rudd's advantage over 2nd place. Jimmy Johnson shrinking, and they're catching some traffic. Rudd last pitted at lap 162. Johnson and Michael Waltrip, the 2 cars behind him, at lap 184.
48 cars working a little bit better than Ricky Rudd's car right now, for sure. Looks like he gets in the corner a little bit better than Ricky. Certainly getting through the center better.
And Michael, the 15 car, might be better than both of them.
He's been running better lap times, BP. Last lap by, he was about 3/10 of a second quicker than the both of them. And here he comes.
I tell you what, if Michael Waltrip in his 15 car keeps running the way he is running right now, Slugger Labby's bus is going by the wayside. You know, he got a new motor coach. He started spending some time at the racetrack, and they fell out of 3 races in a row.
Yeah.
This weekend, he doesn't have the coach.
You're right.
Yeah.
He's done. Back to the hotel.
He's back to the hotel.
And racers are immensely superstitious.
Oh, yeah.
We know something about that, Wally? We all go into that story?
You know about it, don't you?
Yeah.
Some damage off that right rear. Did that just happen on that 48 car?
It's fallen back off of Ricky Rudd a little bit. And by the way, folks, it just has to do with peanuts. It's an old story that has to do with the Indianapolis 500 and peanuts in a race car being bad luck. And Wally's sponsor used to be
Mr. Peanut.
Planters Peanuts, and they attempted to have Mr. Peanut have a photograph taken in one of Wally's race cars one time, and the driver protested vehemently.
Wouldn't let it happen.
Superstition.
Here comes Michael. Right there. Slugger told me this morning this 15 car has been terrific all weekend, and boy, do I believe it.
The producer's feeding me all kinds of lines about Wally being in the car was one nut enough, but I'll let all that go.
The producer.
No, I won't. It's a good line. Working around Todd Motorheim. And it's the race for 2nd place. Matt Kenseth trying to get around Ryan Newman for 11th place.
Dillon's dragging something there, too. I don't know if it's just tape or something.
Looks like
left rear.
I think it's probably a piece of duct tape that they've tried to tape the brake hoses on to cool the rear brakes.
Elliott Sadler right in that race for position also. 11th, 12th, 13th.
Warren Harvick got by Newman. He just drove away from him.
Probably why he was a little agitated that he couldn't get by him.
And Newman's car looks like it's a little bit better early than it is later. Looks like he falls off quite a bit later in the run. Dave, what's going on with the 12 car?
Well, Ryan radioed to his crew that the car was tight from the middle and off the corner, and then he repeated that about 15 laps later, so it's a condition that persists with the 12.
And up there again, we talked about that earlier. If you're really, really tight here, you can't get back on the gas. It takes forever to get back on the throttle because the front of the car just keeps sliding.
Weather's changed here too. Heavy overcast at the start of the day, rain threatening, very heavy humidity. Now the skies have broken, some blue skies showing through and sunlight coming out. Weather affect the handling on this racetrack a bunch?
I think it does everywhere.
Very much so, because all of a sudden these cars, the warmer this racetrack gets, the more they'll slide across the racetrack when they get to the corner. And here's a battle for the lead. All 3 cars, nose to tail practically.
Jimmy Johnson, a little wiggle off turn 4. Here comes Michael Waltrip. 2nd place. Mikey on the move. Now just a couple of car lengths behind leader Ricky Rudd, and they're in some traffic. Ricky Rudd led a total of 3 laps this season prior to today. He's been out in front for 25 now.
And this is the same car, the 21 car, that he used last Saturday night. Had such a terrific run at Richmond.
Started 31st today. Had his 47th birthday on Friday. Here in New Hampshire, for the lead, Michael Waltrip.
Man, look at that car cut.
Oh, man, that was amazing. That was so nice.
Michael Waltrip just turned that wheel hard left underneath Ricky Rudd in the middle of the corner. And boy, if you get a car that does that, you're really good.
Ricky Rudd might be coming to the pits.
Like it. Yeah, stayed out as long as he could. Now that he's lost the lead. Rudd last pitted at lap 162, so at 2:56. He comes down pit road, Matt.
And the 94 winner looking for another New Hampshire win. Henry Benfield, the gas man. They're looking at possibly 1.5 cans of fuel. 2 tires as Henry hits it one more time. Meanwhile, the 25 is Joe Nemechek in. They came in, took on 2 tires, and topped off as well with a can.
A lot of different strategies.
Oh, man. See, Junior stopped and changed 4 tires. Rudd stopped and changed 2. So we'll find out where that puts the 21 and 8 car once he gets back on the track.
And still waiting to see what's going to happen with Michael Waltrip and Jimmy Johnson now, who stopped at lap 184. Will they have to pit before the checkered flag? Last commercial break under green flag conditions.
Clear. Clear behind you, Bob. Clear.
From New Hampshire International Speedway on TNT. Brought to you by Chevrolet. Wherever there's a winner's circle, we'll be there. McDonald's. And Budweiser. The best things in life are the things that are true. Budweiser.
New Hampshire International Speedway and Michael Waltrip leading with 37 laps to go, needing another pit stop before the checkered flag. But if we stay under green, everybody's going to need another splash except for Dale Jr. and Ricky Rudd, who've just been in a moment ago, and they're both a lap down. This one is going to be a nail-biter.
If it goes green.
It's going to be a nail-biter.
You need to figure out just how much gas you need to put in.
When to stop.
When to stop.
How many tires you take. And where that cycles you out against guys like Rudden Jr., who came in and took 4 and a full fuel load earlier, and are going to be out there at full speed. How about the leader's strategy, Bill?
Just talked to Slugger Labby a few minutes ago. It's going to be fuel only. He's been calling out the lap times to Michael, really encouraging him. Tell him that's the fastest car on the racetrack. You're doing a good job, driver. It'll be fuel only. Some of the other crew chiefs are asking their drivers, do you need tires, or is the car good enough we can just give you a splash? You know what the drivers are going to say, and you know what the crew chief is going to do.
Yeah.
Well, the driver's going to want tires. The crew chief is going to want to give them a splash of fuel, Bill.
Michael Waltrip started today in 5th position.
I still think Harvick is in the best position right now if they do what they need to do in the pits.
Harvick is 6th, 9.7 seconds behind Michael Waltrip.
But talking about Kevin Harvick, and he is 6th, but the last time by, he was the fastest car on the racetrack by about 0.15 of a second.
You saw the racetrack between he and the leader. We know Harvick's going to get just fuel only on his stop, and not much of it.
That's right. They're going to put the can up there and count to about 2, and he's going to be gone. Bill?
You know, that bunch really wanted the caution to come out. They just told Kevin, your laps are faster than anybody else, so they're battling that out with the 15, but they are 9 laps short last time we checked.
And then you've got, if some of these front runners start pitting, and then the caution comes out, and then, I mean, it's this whole thing is setting up to be a real twister here at the end.
I think you need to stay out as long as you can.
Bill Elliott's going to come in now. Gives up 7th place for a stop with 32 laps to go. Matt?
Last 3 wins have all come on flat tracks at Homestead, Pocono, and Indy. Rodney Rhodes will tip up that can of fuel. They're going to go just right side tires only. No adjustments for Bill Elliott. Rodney signals, yes, we are good, and Elliott's gone.
7 seconds. See where it puts him now after things cycle out. There's your leader, Michael Waltrip, so Elliott's gone a lap down. Jamie McMurray in. Giving up a top 5 spot for his final pit stop. Matty?
And he's been battling both a loose and tight race car chassis adjustment. Just going to be a gas and go only for Jamie McMurray.
A couple seconds quicker than Elliott. Mike Skinner is on pit road, coming in for a final stop. And Michael Waltrip putting McMurray a lap down. Terry Labonte in. Hearing he might not be under power.
Gas, out of gas.
Marty?
He ran out of gas in turn 3, Alan. What a quick decision by this veteran to make it to pit road. They were going to stay out 2 more laps. The car not running for Terry right now. They're going to take on right side tires. That was Terry's decision. They do get the car fired, and he stalls it again. Now they get it refired, and he stalls it again, trying to get this car fired there. Finally, he gets the car fired. Now they're still pushing him off pit road. He gets it fired, and the car just stalls out again. I guess that's gas still sitting in the carburetor, huh, Vinny?
I tell you, you get lucky if you can restart those cars right away when they run out of gas. If you run out of gas, you're pretty much really have lost almost a lap.
Put some gas in it or something.
Here comes Michael Waltrip. The leader is in. 29 laps to go.
On the pit road, just a couple of seconds of fuel. The can, he took the gas can with him. He took the gas can with him down pit road.
Oh, no.
There'll be a penalty for leaving the pit stall with equipment.
Yep, there you see it.
Yeah, we see it.
You have to pit again anyway.
Oh, boy.
Oh, man.
Michael Waltrip will come back for a penalty.
You cannot leave a pit stall, a pit box, with any kind of equipment on your car.
And the problem is with this deal is when these guys are coming in, they're hardly stopping, BP, because if it's only gas and go, the guys usually stop and then put it in gear and start to roll. The gas guy has to run, basically, or walk with the car. Sometimes they can't get it out.
Here comes Michael for his penalty. Bill?
Stop and go. They wanted to give him 3 seconds worth of gas. He said, you told me to go.
Yep, now a let's see where he ends up by the time he comes back out.
As he goes down the racetrack, Mike Skinner was also penalized, I guess, for speeding on pit road.
Yes. I was thinking when they called out the Skinner penalty while we were watching Michael Waltrip, that's like the third time we've seen somebody get busted for speeding on pit road today, and we might see that on one of these splash and dash stops among one of the leaders. And then it turned out Waltrip's gas can went with him, and that was the penalty we saw.
So the last three guys practically have just really hurt themselves. Terry Labonte, Skinner, and right here, you see, watch the gas guy kind of run with the car.
He's trying to run with it.
He can't pull it out.
Let's see where that shuffled Michael back to as he comes back around. Michael's back to 21st place, a lap down. Here's Rusty Wallace in, Marty.
It's been a terrific run for Rusty, up in the top 5. Got a top 5 last week at Richmond, trying to back that up today. Go on my signal, Billy Wilburn says. Doug Eagle, the gas man, gets it full. Bill? Nice and easy to Jimmy Johnson. A wedge adjustment. They count the fuel down. They give him the command to go.
So Johnson gives up the lead for his pit stop with 24 laps to go, and Jeff Gordon is now the leader with Kevin Harvick second. Gordon's coming to pit road.
Coming in.
Making sure the drivers behind him know.
Because when you come off turn 4, you've got to slow down to 45 miles per hour quickly. That's why he's trying to warn all those drivers behind him. Bill, coming to you.
And this will be another quick stop. Gordon slows, easy in, gets his fuel. They count it down, waiting. He's on his way.
That was quick. Man, that's not a lot of gas.
2.9.
Got to run 25 more miles.
And while this is happening, Kevin Harvick goes to the lead. And I'm thinking back on Ricky Rudd and Dale Earnhardt Jr. They're getting the cycle of pit stops that they needed. And Rudd got out ahead of Jr. So Rudd is up to 11th place now. There's Kevin Harvick, the leader. Harvick, Matt Kenseth, Ryan Newman, Elliott Sadler, Robbie Gordon, top 5. Harvick, remember, 9 laps short on his fuel if we don't get another caution flag.
Can Harvick come down pit road, put a couple of gallons of fuel in and get back out in less than a lap? It's a pretty long pit road. Ricky Rudd might be looking pretty good. We'll have to see.
Championship standings as they run. Matt Kenseth, second place. Kevin Harvick first. And Dale Earnhardt Jr. right now in 15th.
Well, all those guys are really, all he has to worry about is Rudd, right? Everybody in front of Rudd has to
Jimmy Johnson got his splash and stayed on the lead lap, and he's in 8th place.
Okay, so he's got 20 seconds, so he's got a lap plus 20 seconds.
Not enough.
Yeah.
No, not a lap.
Just 20 seconds.
Just 20 seconds.
Just 20 seconds.
So to answer your question, Benny, no.
No, I don't think he can either.
Whoa, Harvick. Laps to go. When those drivers last pitted, 84 laps to go.
Harvick might be able to run a few more laps, but
this is for 3rd place. Elliott Sadler trying to get it away from Ryan Newman. 38 car moving up. Splash and go for Bobby Labonte. He rejoins the race. While Sadler takes 3rd away from Ryan Newman. Jimmy Johnson appears to be in the driver's seat on this one. That splash of fuel has hidden the first car who's got fuel to the finish, and he's in 6th place. He got out ahead of Jeff Gordon, who's also fueled up. And Ricky Rudd is still behind him by, what, 4 seconds.
The question is if they've got enough.
Yeah, do they have enough? And how fast can Kevin Harvick come down pit road, get a couple of gallons of fuel, and get back on the racetrack? Ryan Newman is bringing the 12 car down pit road for his last pit stop. Dave, coming to you.
In July, they told them to conserve fuel, and they waited until the end. They got to the end, then faded to fourth. Today, no talk of saving fuel. They let him race all day long, and now they have to come in for a splash and go. They'll also make a track bar adjustment because Ryan's car was so tight. They get that 2.5 seconds of fuel that crew chief Matt Borland told them they needed, and he's gone.
Well, maybe they got 2 seconds worth of fuel that he needed. Some of these guys run out of fuel.
Yeah, because like I said earlier, you watch the gas can guy. He's got to get that thing in there while the car is moving most of the time. It's hard to do. You think you're getting 2 seconds in or 3 seconds in, and you don't get it all in.
Looking back from Kevin Harvick to Matt Kenseth, a little bit better than 6 seconds. Marty?
And he just had a long radio conversation with his crew chief, Robbie Reiser. He said, what are we going to do? What's the 29 going to do? He said, right now, we're going to stick with our plan. We are going to stay out and try and win this thing.
How are they going to stay out?
Really?
They're going to not stop?
Be 104 laps.
Here's Kevin
here
Harvick.
he comes. Leaders in, Bill.
He must have had a fuel stumble or something. They told him a few more laps. He just dove on the pit road, got caught in traffic, gets his fuel, now he stalls it. Now they'll have to push him. This is very costly. Pushing him down pit road. Cars going by. The clock ticking, and Kevin Harvick's chances of winning disappearing on pit road.
That's it. When you stall these things, I'm telling you, just can't refire them that easy.
And now it's going. So we'll check where Harvick comes out as Dave Blaney comes in for his final splash of fuel. Now 3 cars yet to make the pit stop. And one of them coming in now, Elliott Sadler. So that'll leave Matt Kenseth and Robbie Gordon. There's Elliott Sadler and Dave.
Blaney gave up a top 10 position. They changed 2 right side tires back on lap 196. And now he's splashed and gone.
Check out Kevin Harvick trying to get to pit road. Casey Mears and Sterling Marlin are also in.
I believe he ran out of gas. Oh, I believe he ran out of gas.
He did run out of gas. He told him I ran out right then, and Todd said we were going to bring you in the next lap. The harder you run it, the more gas you use. Todd Berrier said, we're sorry.
Where's your center? He's up the front. Come on, Brian. Come on, Brian. Come on.
Give you a headache.
Jelena, his wife, Kevin's wife, realizes we're not going to win today.
Yep. Kevin now a lap down in 16th place. Down to 13 cars on the lead lap. Matt Kenseth is the leader. Robbie Gordon is second. Those two have not stopped since lap 196. We heard Marty's report a minute ago that Kenseth's crew is going to try and go that distance on fuel.
And they just black flag.
That was Sterling Marlin for pitting out of his box. Okay, so much for trying to go to the finish on fuel.
Here comes Kenseth. Giving up $270,000 plus the win, plus the purse.
Shall we reconsider, Marty?
Yes, we shall, and that was actually Matt Kenseth's decision. He vetoed his crew chief, Robbie Reiser. He said, I don't want to run out of fuel right now. There's no need in us chancing it. I hate coming down pit road because I've got great fuel pressure, but I think we need to be a little conservative.
Okay, and Sterling Marlin is going to be held 1 lap for pitting out of his box. That's the penalty if you do service the car while it's outside the box. So he'll be sitting there for a little bit. Okay, cool off, hang on, he'll be here for a while.
1 lap.
It's going to go all that way and then get held for a lap.
So there's your leader, Robbie Gordon. 2 seconds in front of Jimmy Johnson. Does he have enough fuel to go to the finish?
No.
Assertive.
I can tell you right now.
They'll be pulling apart a fuel cell.
I have no idea. He might be able to make it.
Jimmy Johnson 2 seconds behind him. Then it's a long way back. It's 5.5 seconds to Jeff Gordon, the 3rd place car. So if there's any question on Jimmy Johnson's team's mind whether they have the fuel to go to the finish, he's got some room behind him to pedal it a little bit.
Jimmy Johnson's pit stop looked like he got enough fuel.
Very efficient.
Very efficient, yes.
Robbie Gordon, winner here at New Hampshire. November 2001. Remember bumping Jeff Gordon out of the way to get his first NASCAR Winston Cup win. Now he's inside of 10 laps to go at this racetrack again. The question is, can he stretch the gasoline to see the checkers?
And can he stay in front of Jimmy? We're out, he said.
Okay, there it is.
Ready for you. See, but he ran out, and now the car's going to stall, and he's going to lose a whole bunch of time.
So there's the pass for the lead right there as Robbie Gordon comes to pit road. 6 laps to go. Jimmy Johnson out in front, Bill.
They were coaching him on the radio, save what you can, save what you can. He slides to a stop, shoving the gas can, keeps it running for now. Now it's out. Stall it, they're going to push him. Good call, Wally. You always want to come in 1 lap earlier after you run out, don't you?
Yeah. And Michael Waltrip just on pit road for right side tires. So something not right there with the 15 car. And so Jimmy Johnson completes lap 295 with a 3.6 second advantage on Jeff Gordon, hoping he has enough fuel to the finish. And he's got enough of a margin where he can try and save it now. Check our speeds at the line and see how hard Johnson is pressing compared to second place Jeff Gordon. There's Jimmy, and here comes Jeff. He's running faster. And here comes 5th place, Bill Elliott, trying to fend off, actually just went around Dale Earnhardt Jr. to pick up that spot. Robbie Gordon is being black flagged for having too many men over the wall servicing his car when it came in.
And his troubles continue.
Steve Park out of gas. Off turn 2.
Might pull off. Ooh, getting a little loose. 2 laps to go.
What a day it's been for this race team. Remember back at lap 127. Oh, Jeff Gordon off the pace. Is he out of fuel?
That would be my guess.
Ken Schrader going to give him a hand. You can get pushed until you start the last lap of the race. Once the white flag waves, you cannot get assistance from another car. Bill?
Yeah, it's obvious he's out of fuel. They were talking about it on the radio, but they didn't get enough in there.
And the white flag is out. So Schrader is legal to push Gordon back around to pit road, but it's not going to matter for the win. Now it's just a question, does this guy have enough fuel to see the checkered flag?
Oh, yeah. As we talked about, a great pit stop by the entire crew.
Yep, they took their time, and they got in there what they needed, and that was all the difference.
At lap 127, the crew cleaned out in a pit road crash. 3 of the members getting hit by another car. They came back to do their job and make the crucial stop when it counted. Jimmy Johnson sweeping New Hampshire International Speedway races in 2003.
That was the battle for second spot between Ricky Rudd, Joe Nemechek. Here comes Elliott Jr.
Got away with it, but broken down spring.
You know that.
Okay, that'll make those bumps and bruises they're going to feel the next couple days feel a lot better, won't it? Jimmy Johnson with his 3rd win of 2003, his 6th NASCAR Winston Cup win overall, and the first ever sweep of a season's races here at this racetrack. Let's hear from his crew chief.
And what a day they pull off the first sweep here in New Hampshire, and what a day for this team to really bounce back. What did your driver tell you on the radio?
At one point, we had a lot of radio conversation, but, you know, after we had that accident there on pit road, I hated it for those guys. And Jimmy said, don't worry, boys, we got a good race car. We'll battle back. It was looking pretty bleak because everybody plays about the same fuel strategy game, and, you know, we did the best we could. Got ourselves in position. He drove one heck of a race. I'll tell you what, I'm just so happy for Team Lowe's. Ryan McCrae, Corey Quick, I'll tell you, those guys getting hit out there, bouncing back, coming back and doing those pit stop for us is great. I just want to say hi to Sean. Sean's been a friend of mine for a long, long time. Tara was a good friend of mine, and I hate that loss for him, but, we can't wait to have him back.
I think everybody echoes that sentiment, Alan.
thanks. The Victory Donuts, or burnouts as it might be, our Chevy winning moment. Jimmy Johnson, winner today in the number 48 Monte Carlo. Jimmy will tell you the only thing that comes close to Monte Carlo's reputation on the track is its reputation on the street. More champions depend on Chevy. We'll be there. We'll be there in Victory Lane to talk with our race winner today in a minute. This is what Jimmy Johnson said as he crossed the finish line just a minute ago.
No way! You cannot keep a good team down. Way to go, guys. Battle back from getting hit on pit road to do this. Awesome job, boys. Awesome job.
Don Tony, you wanted to see me?
Vincenzo, I've decided it's time for a change. The family is ready to take on a new member.
Grizzly 660 automatic from Yamaha. The only ATV with push-button front diff lock and four-wheel independent suspension. The Grizzly 660 automatic. Where you go now is up to you. Now, get a 2,500-pound Warren winch for just $69.95 with select models.
Announcing the laundry and refrigerator.
Back at New Hampshire International Speedway, where Jimmy Johnson climbs out in victory lane for the second time this season. A big win for him after an emotional day on the track and on pit road. And he is really thanking his crew members today. Have a towel. Congratulations.
Nothing like winning a race and you can't see the camera. You look like an idiot on TV, but what a great day. I mean, first of all, just thankful that no one was hurt on pit road. The 15 and the 24 looked like they got together and came through. And when I looked up, I saw two of my guys on the hood of the 24 going for a ride. And those guys came back, changed tires the rest of the day. Chad from there had a big feat ahead of him to get things worked out on strategy, and he did it. You know, he got it worked out, and we had a fast race car, and it came for us.
How good was this car, Jimmy? Because you had to fight your way back through there.
I had to fight my way back through there, and we made some changes versus our spring setup that helped us in clean air and when we were by ourselves, I should say. But inside of people, I needed all the racetrack. I was just too loose, and I thought our spring car was a little better, but we still got the same result, and just so happy. I want to thank all the employee owners at Lowe's, everybody at Lowe's, Hendrick Motorsports. This is a great day for us.
You ran hard with Michael Waltrip.
Yeah. I mean, Michael, you know, he was coming on newer tires, and I knew that I probably, you know, I needed to try to let him beat his stuff up getting by me. But once he got next to me, I needed to let him go and not lose any more time because we had to pit also. So our pit stop was coming up, and it worked out.
Did you get together with Ward out there today?
Yeah, I did, and I feel sorry for that, and he's upset and took 5 or 6 shots at me when I was lapping him trying to wreck me. And you know, I don't crash people. I never do. You never see me caught up in this stuff, and he crowded me getting into one. We were racing real hard, and I got loose and got into him and turned him around, so I hate it for him.
Okay, how about these 3 guys here that took one for the team on pit road? Introduce them.
We got Ryan McRae, Corey Quick. These guys, you guys all right? Oh, Jack, man, Chris, I didn't see you. I saw you two on the hood of the car going for a ride. Thanks, boys. You all right?
You guys okay? Yeah. Going to be a little sore tomorrow, but this will take some of the sting away, won't it? Congratulations to all of you. The Lowe's team in victory lane at New Hampshire. They sweep, Dave.
The guy who was following along in second place, Ricky Rudd, getting congratulations for another crew chief there, Peter Suspenzo. Okay, so you pit on lap 256. You come out in 22nd. Did you have any idea you'd get all the way toward the front?
Well, Pat and all the guys on the Motorcraft team, they knew it. They knew how the strategy was to shake out on the fuel situation. You know, that's a strange thing, you know, with this way you run these short tracks. You just haven't got a clue. You can be dead last, and next thing you know, you find yourself leading. But we knew on the stopwatch we were very fast. You know, we ran with Jimmy, had Jimmy behind us until we pitted on that last pit stop. And, you know, he was a good car. You know, I'm glad he won. He's a good guy and drove a good, hard, clean race. And we just come up a little short. And really where we came up short, we needed a more fuel than Jimmy did on that pit stop. We had to sit on pit road longer, so they might as well change tires while they did it. So, you know, that was just the difference, the way the fuel windows worked out. And but it was a good race for us. Second this week, third last week. So Dover's coming up maybe first the following week.
And no one made contact with you on pit road after the race, Ricky. How glad are you you to have this be about racing this week?
Yeah, it was really good. I actually got a handshake from the guy that ran third today, so from the crew chief, so that was good.
That's a much better situation. And if you're a trend watcher, like you said, third last week, second this week, maybe first next week. Matt?
Track never owes anybody anything, but Joe Nemechek, for what happened here in July, this is a really good finish for you and this team.
Oh, absolutely. This whole UAW Delphi team, you know, we were going to have a top 5 here the first race, and we run out of gas there at the end, didn't get it full of gas. So got to thank Peter Suspenzo, the engine shop, Ed Guzzo, all these guys on this crew for getting this thing set up right. And we mashed the fender in there when Dale Jarrett got wrecked. I hit the back of Spencer, and we had to pit out of sequence, and it kind of got us messed up. But there at the end, it didn't hurt us because everybody had to pit under green. And I got to say, congratulations, Jimmy Johnson. Great run. Great to see Hendrick Motorsports back in there. And heck, I thought we were going to have a 1-2-3 finish, and had a heck of a battle going there with Ricky Rudd.
Now, what about this guy next to you? What were you telling me about his car?
Oh, Dale, he was flying up in front, and he said he only had 7 cylinders. And then when I got 2 tires, it's like his motor started giving up a little bit more, and mine just kept on booking.
What about that 7 cylinders?
Well, it wasn't no fun, I'll tell you that. We just had to try to make up in the corner what I lost on the straightaway. And, you know, you're already going through the corner hard as you can, but, you know, it's just tough. We really shouldn't have finished 5th. We just did some pit strategy and stuff and we didn't get any cautions at the end, and it really worked in our favor. And we'll take it. But we had a real good car on 8 cylinders. Just we broke a valve spring, I think, on the car, and we don't normally do that. But having the same thing happened to us at Homestead last year.
And trying to keep the humor going with the team. What about the M&Ms?
I told them I was going by so slow they could toss them at the car. I tried to catch them in my mouth. So we had something.
You weren't going that slow.
Yeah, well, I felt like it was.
Thanks, Marty.
Well, Matt, Michael Waltrip had by far the most interesting day. You raced really hard with a 48 there at the end, Michael. You had a terrific car, but do you fault your guys for that last pit stop?
Well, you hate to have a mistake cost you a win, but, you know, I've made tons, and we're all human. And so we just deal with it, live with it. I did what I was told, and it didn't all go down smoothly, but I'm just proud of my team that prepared me this car to run as well as we did here today. By far the best I've ever been here, and I'm thankful to them for that.
Take me through the contact on pit road very early on with the 24 car.
He just made a mistake. I guess he didn't know that I was pitted in front of the 48. He was a stall ahead of us. He made a mental error. NASCAR could fix this problem easily by not allowing. See, I've got to obviously, is it fair for me to pit? I think so. My pit's right there. So what he's doing inside of me and when is ahead of me is hard to figure. He just messed up mentally and got himself in a bad spot. NASCAR could fix this problem by making no passing on pit road once you cross the speed limit line. That's why you see good cars like the 15 and the 48 and the 24 down at the end of pit road, because they know they can speed to their pit. They can shoot right to their pit while everybody else is waiting in line. They need to address it. Today was a good warning for them to say, hey, maybe he's got a point there. I've said it before.
You were also very adamant on the radio about racing back to the caution, Michael.
Well, Bill just slowed down. You got 20 guys that are going to come flying by you. And you know, it's wrong. The leader just keeps his speed up to the accident scene. That takes 20 other fellas out of the mix, you know. When you slow down and you're the leader and you got half a straightaway on a bunch of guys, you're going to have 10, 12, 15 cars racing to the scene of the accident. Bill could have solved that problem by keeping his speed up to the place where the car was wrecked and then slowed down and made it safe where only one car ran fast, not the whole field.
May have had the best car, but he finished 26th today. Alan?
Okay, Marty, thanks. It was an adventurous day for Michael, wasn't it? And all those questions and all those different things that happened. Jimmy Johnson, your winner here at New Hampshire International Speedway today. More post-race coverage when we come back to New England.
You know, being teammates is about more than just...
Back in New Hampshire, Jimmy Johnson getting the hardware for winning today's Sylvania 300. We've heard from all of the top 5 finishers except Bill Elliott. Wanted to get a word with him. He's already left the racetrack. Pretty speedy exit today for Bill. Matt?
And Jeff Gordon, 3 times a winner here now, 2 times a winner as a Cardinal. So a good note as far as the Cardinal goes today.
Yeah, I couldn't be more proud of him, especially with what I did to him on pit road. I tell you, I've never felt so horrible driving the race cars I did today. Not only hitting crew members, but you know, it was my fault. I made a mistake, and to see guys that are on my team fly up over your hood, it's not a real good feeling. So couldn't be more proud of those guys to come back the way they did and to get to victory lane. Thought we were going to be 1-2, and we just didn't get enough fuel, and you know, we just just can't get anything to go our way. And we're the ones making the mistakes. I made one, and the other one we just didn't get enough fuel in it, so it's a tough day.
Jeff, how difficult is it to focus when something like that happens and regain your composure?
It's so difficult. I mean, I wanted to jump out of the car and go see if they were okay, and then I saw them get up and run around, to go pit the car, and I go, we've got some tough guys on this team, so that's really awesome to see that they got up. I hope they're still okay. I know the adrenaline flowing, don't know what your injuries are, but then I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to back up. I saw cars going by me. I just sort of was stunned, by the whole thing, and it really was my fault. I had no idea Michael was pitted in front of Jimmy. And, I probably shouldn't have been shooting in there anyway, but, where my pit stall was, I wouldn't have made my turn in there much later than that. I just totally didn't know Michael was in there, and my own fault.
How do you fix something like that, Jeff? Because we've talked about this before recently.
Well, you've seen a lot more guys park, or pitted down at the beginning of pit road, and it's, there's a reason for that. I feel like there's not a disadvantage down there like maybe there are in some of the other stalls. We went with where there was an opening. That's pretty much what Jimmy did too, and that was the first opening that we could pick. And maybe I see a lot of guys that speed up and pull inside guys to shoot into their pits, and I don't even know if NASCAR says that that's okay, but we do it all the time, and they don't ever do anything about it. So until they start doing some different things on pit road, we're all going to take it to the limits and take advantage of every situation we can, and hopefully the incidences like this will change the way we do run down pit road.
We'll let you get to victory lane. Jeff Gordon, a winning car owner today here in New Hampshire. Dave?
And catching up with 9th place Ryan Newman, who sat on the pole today. Ryan, first of all, you talked early in the race about racing in traffic being very difficult for you. How tough was it?
It was really difficult for us today. I mean, the Automobile and Dodge is really good out front. Just struggled a little bit in traffic. I want to apologize to Tony. I didn't mean to get into him like I did there, take him out. I just tried to move in on him, and we were both going for the same piece of real estate. I hope there's no hard feelings, but apologize to him. And that's it. Just struggled the rest of the day. Our car wasn't the greatest at all that last run, and what we needed to be.
You were racing with Bill Elliott back to the caution. Tell me about that. It appeared as if that's what was happening.
We weren't racing. I was racing the lap cars, basically. The caution came out basically in the middle of 1 and 2, and Bill immediately checked up. And when I knew there were the 18 and I think a couple other cars, the 30, and some other guys were coming there. And, he just checked up. And next time I look in my mirror and the 15 starting to come underneath me, I'm like, well, he's either going for the lead or he's trying to keep these guys a lap down. So I just kind of followed suit, and we all raced back to the line. And the one time it wasn't safe at all with the 88 car there. I mean, I wish and hope NASCAR looks at that, but it's just part of racing. That's part of racing the way it is right now, and we'll see if anything happens.
In July, you conserved fuel on that last run. Today, they let you race for it. Do you like this strategy better? You didn't finish as well.
Oh, the strategy was no problem. It was just a matter of not having the car in good shape at the end of the race when we needed it to.
All right, let's go to Marty.
Kevin Harvick finishes 13th, and you look like you were in the great position, and I thought you guys were to the good side on the fuel. What happened, Kevin?
We were just running so fast, I guess we came up a little bit short, but a good day for the GM Goodrich car. We actually ran out in a good spot coming onto pit lane, but all in all, I mean, couldn't ask any more of the guys. I mean, they're there week in and week out and gave us the fastest race car on the racetrack. It's just, you got to play the whole game, and we just came up a little bit short.
It's got to be so frustrating to be in the car, know the car's good, know it can win, and then run out of fuel unexpectedly.
Yeah, I mean, but, that's really part of our sport, and it is frustrating, but heck, someday we'll be on the good side of it, and we've been on the good side of it, and today we're on the bad side of it, so it'll all be good.
Again, they finished 13th today, Alan.
Okay, Marty, thanks. Take a look at the finishing order today. From New Hampshire, Jimmy Johnson picking up the win. 3rd win of the season, and he sweeps the Magic Mile for 2003.
Rusty Wallace, how about that 6th place run for him?
Started in the back of the field after an engine change.
That's right. Good for Rusty.
2nd straight top 5 for Ricky Rudd. Championship leader Matt Kenseth. 7th place, another top 10. Kevin Harvick last on the lead lap. Jeff Gordon winding up 19th after running out of fuel. Tony Stewart, the crash there with Ryan Newman, wound up a lap down in 20th.
I was surprised how well Stewart's car ran after he got the car back on the racetrack.
Michael Waltrip after the pit stop problem and then the extra pit stop for the right side tires. 26th place. Very disappointing for him. Day that looked so promising. And and the drivers more than 2 laps down toward the end of the field. Only 5 drivers failed to finish. Dale Jarrett, of course, in the accident. Jeff Burton, Greg Biffle with differing engine problems that put them out early after both were running fairly well. Championship standings, 9 races to go. Matt Kenseth's lead actually went down a little bit this week.
Junior finished 5th this week.
Yeah.
404-point lead.
And it's off to the Monster Mile in Dover next week for the NASCAR Winston Cup Series and the race for the championship. Jeff Gordon, when he got to victory lane, first thing he did was apologized to the team members for the accident. You could hear how much it bothered him in our interview with Matt there a few minutes ago. Back to New Hampshire in a minute on TNT.
NASCAR's on the track. Odds are so is Track Pass. Just log on to America.